Where? Why? Welcome to the Headhunted Podcast. Motivation, inspiration, drive, hunger. For those who dare, for those who triumph. You were born to be Headhunted.
You're listening to the Headhunted Podcast, episode 14, with the new general manager of the Czech Republic and Slovakia, Violeta Luka.
Headhunted.
Bill Gates once said, discrimination has a lot of layers, and it makes it tough for minorities to get a leg up. And Oprah Winfrey once said, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Fresh out of her car that she used to make the transition from Romania to the Czech Republic, I'm super excited also, given that I spent 9 years in Microsoft, to welcome the new general manager of Microsoft Czech Republic and Slovakia, Violeta Luka. Violeta, very happy to have you. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Michal. Very happy to be with you today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Violeta joins the Czech and Slovak team from Microsoft Romania, where she has served as the general manager for the past 2 years. As a leader, she has an extensive track record in enabling double-digit business growth, transforming business models, driving regional expansion and new market opportunities, and building strategic partnerships to enhance customer experience. She was including among top 100 CEOs and Forbes top 50 most powerful businesswomen in Romania, and received recognition for business development, innovative business model, business digital transformation, best digital transformation project, and best corporate responsibility campaign. Under her leadership, Microsoft Romania became employer number 1, and she is also a member of the board of the Digital Transformation Committee of the National Digitalization Office of Romania. Violeta, great to have you. Let's start with how all of this happened. The Headhunters is always about stories, about making people live the experience that you had when you received a call or when somebody approached you from Microsoft and asked you to join the interview process and so on. Could you put us in that moment when this very first ask, could you consider being the new GM of Microsoft, happened?
So thank you for the question. Let's say recalling the moment when my boss actually approached me to ask if I would be interested to apply for this job. For the story's sake, I would rather say that I was on a kind of ski slope because I like mountains. But actually, I was in my home office in Bucharest, and really I was having one of my one-to-one discussions with my boss, the president of Central Eastern Europe in Microsoft, and he approached me to ask if I'm interested to apply, if relocating to Prague would be an option. So it was initially an exploratory discussion, and then of course I took some time to think it over. And unlike other moments in my life when I was rather rushing a bit to take decisions, or I was a bit having not so much patience, this time I took a couple of days to think over.
What did you do? I always ask people that are being headhunted or asked by their bosses, what did you hang up the phone and then immediately you say, oh crap, this is great, or oh Violeta, let's calm down, let's think this over. What was or you call your family, or what's the usual reaction?
So after, I think in the lunch break, actually, I used it to speak with my husband first, and then with my mom, who was at that moment living with us. This is what I did. And I tried to think it over with a cool head, because it was an exploratory conversation I had, but it was not a done deal. It was an application following that conversation. And initially, I wanted to be sure that is the right step to take for me and for my family, because there were implications. And I must say that in the past, I had actually several opportunities to move, to relocate in different countries. And due to some family, let's say, responsibilities and context, I didn't pursue them. So I didn't rush because I wanted to be sure that it's the right thing to do.
It's I hear the same response from Brent Vaughan. Brent is now managing Steve Ballmer's money, and he's the COO of Ballmer's Group. And I was like, Brent, that was a no-brainer when Steve approached you, and he said, no, I really consulted the family because it had huge implications. And then at the end, the family I see said yes. So are you relocating with the whole family, or?
Yes, I relocated here with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have kids
Mm-hmm.
yet, I like to say. And it was possible because he's having his own company working in digital industry, and it was a bit more easier. And actually, I think pandemic situation enabled somehow this relocation, because in the past, it was not so easy to imagine yourself doing a business purely remotely, like we did in the last year, actually, like he did in the last year. So I think this situation, which has, nothing good in it, except for it forced us to transform ourselves, to rethink the way we work, our beliefs, it challenged it as well.
Did he have the right vita? If, had he said, no, I don't agree with it, would you not come?
Yes. So actually, a couple of years back, I had an opportunity to move to Italy for a job. And back then he was not ready to relocate, and he was not happy with it. And I didn't do it because it's important to have, the harmony in the family is not only about career advancement. For me, it's important to have people who I care about to be happy as well. And allow me to share with you something very, I would say nice, but in the same time thoughtful. Just 2 days back, I had my regular call with my boss. And the first question was actually, is your husband happy here in Prague? And I was initially a bit puzzled because I didn't expect the question, to be very honest. But actually he explained, it's important for you to be for your family to be happy because, you take, as a person, we are taking the energy from family sometimes, or if not all the times. And that is why it makes a lot of difference.
I love this about Microsoft. When I joined Microsoft in 2007 as an MBA Mach they made sure that at the time my girlfriend, and then later my wife, she really loved Seattle. They really, the HR was working with the partner in the same way as they were with me. So I'm glad to hear that this is an ongoing activity to make sure that the families are in sync and happy where they relocate. Yeah, it's a fantastic Microsoft thing to worry, not to worry, but to take care of the goodness and wellness of the whole family.
It's true. I feel lucky with that, and thank you, Michal, for sharing also your own personal story.
They had the best life ever. We were working our, sorry for the language, butts off, and the HR ladies were taking our partners for nails and spas, and hard not to like Redmond. Good lives. Now you have Susan, who is leading YouTube, Lisa, Sue, heading AMD, Mary, heading GM, General Motors, previously very man industry, Carol Tome, leading UPS, that's 90% men, gender-driven industry. My classmate from Virginia, Kelly Becker, she's now president of Schneider Electric for UK and Ireland, and recently Jane Fraser, a big surprise to the old Wall Street Wolves, now the head of Citigroup. Is the gender gap diminishing? Do you feel it like that? Do you think you would become a GM of Microsoft 20 years ago?
So great examples. I believe, first of all, the environment, the business environment is changed a lot in the last 10 years, and also it's still changing, and is addressing more intentionally the diversity piece. Is supporting more and more women to develop and to take new career opportunities. And I think this is really rewarding to see. For me, I think 15 years back, if I recall, I was actually in Whirlpool I was. And I was seeing myself a GM, not exactly in Microsoft, but I didn't feel so much this gender gap, honestly. I was raised in a family in which my parents taught me that what is really important is to be very good at what you do, to grow and learn all the time, to surround yourself with capable and trusted people, thoughtful people as well. And then, the rewards will come in time. And I learned also that there are no shortcuts. It's always a price to pay if you are creating those shortcuts. So actually with this belief, I actually didn't perceive so much this gender gap. I received this question many times. But actually, I was somehow lucky and blessed to have real opportunities in my life. However, I must say that in Whirlpool, when I applied for the commercial director job, I think I was the first woman applying for such a job in Whirlpool Europe. And I remember that I had a lot of interviews, even with one of the presidents of the company in Europe, because they wanted to be sure that I am the right person for the job. And I had a lot of scrutiny before getting it. But I got it. And I think it's important to really focus on the skills, capabilities, potential to grow, to drive an impact, to support team development, and not necessarily the gender. This is my belief.
Have you reached out to Biljana and get some wisdom from her managing the subsidiary?
Not yet, actually. I spoke with Rudo, though, after, the details were finalized for myself coming here. I spoke with him. And also, I must say that I felt really lucky to find here a really strong team. He left, a big legacy behind him. And also, I realized that he left also big shoes to fill in. And also, I said to the team in the beginning, I believe it will be hard to really fill Rudo's shoes. But what I will be trying is to wear my own and to support the team to further grow and develop, to make a difference, to feel good, to enjoy the work they are doing. So, this was my approach.
It is the, I would say, the street knowledge that Rudolf has left because of the work-life balance, because his desire to be more with the family. I've done my homework about you, and you are said to be very empathical, very eager to listen to people's stories, giving attention to individuals, also taking care of teams, but also listening to stories and learning more about the individuals. The day has 24 hours. How do you time manage it? How are you gonna solve?
So definitely I am people believer, if you want. So in my view, first is who are you building a business? Who are you bringing into the project? Then is about what. So it's who I am. It's how I developed as a business person. So I prioritize this. Sometimes there is the cost of opportunity. So by prioritizing people and really meaningful discussions and really reading the signals, really being there for them, you might sacrifice something in return, unless you really will work, 16 hours a day, which I did in the past, and I don't recommend it to do it very often. But actually, I prioritize people because I believe that really leadership is not about glorious crowning acts. It's about keeping your team focused on goals and motivated to do their best to achieve it, especially when the stakes are high and the consequences really matter. And in order to build such a thing, you need to know the people and you need to make them feel that they are, you care about them. And I do it quite naturally. So it's not something intentional. Some people need to kind of use it like a force function. I do it naturally.
And by the way, that's the feedback that I was given by a couple of your colleagues now in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, saying that Violeta is listening, is really taking care, or is taking care of our lives, not our lives, but our stories. Is really driven by huge empathy, and they were impressed by that, by your interest in people's stories and lives.
Thank you.
Based on, let's move back to the process of recruiting. You being recruited and hunted a bit to the GM position. Based on LinkedIn research, 84% of recruiters agree that all of the recruiting will be going online and will continue going online in the post-COVID era. How was the process for Microsoft? Were you always in Romania? Did you travel to Czech Republic for some interviews? Was all of the interviews online? Were all of the interviews online and then the onboarding as well? How did the process go? How much did you guys use and leverage technology?
Great question. Yes, the answer is yes. All the interviews were taken online. And I think the beauty of the thing is that even before pandemic, we were using quite a lot the online tools. Actually, for Microsoft Romania, my recruitment process also went fully online. So even when we didn't have this restrictions in traveling, was also online. I believe Microsoft was, not I believe, it is really a fact, Microsoft was combining, the remote work, the hybrid work since many years already back. And if you are used to it, and if you are, if you are not stressed with the tools and with online interactions, I think it goes well. It's true that sometimes I must say that I feel like the human interactions are more rich because you can see more of the body language. You can read more the signals in the meeting than in the online connection. I also believe that it's easier to connect with the other person in front of you. But I got used to, online world. It's already 1 year and a couple of months since we are doing this almost 100% remotely.
Right.
So you get used to it. And I think the key is also to start to like things of it. Because if you don't like what you do and how you do it, then it becomes more energy draining.
I 100% agree. If you're in line with what you believe, what you do, then you will achieve. And that's what Oprah was saying. That the quote I was saying in the beginning: "You get what your courage is and what you align yourself for." Now that actually connects to my next question. I'm pretty sure we're being listened by a lot of Microsoft employees. Your trajectory is quite impressive. What you've done in Microsoft Romania, and also your gigs before, and now at the age of 40, becoming the new GM of Microsoft. Probably beating huge competition and a lot of high qualified people. What have you done differently? What is the Violeta differentiation factor?
So I was being myself, first of all. I think this is very important, to be your true self in the career development. Even if when you are aware that you have some areas of development, by playing someone else's role is becoming very complicated in the long term. So indeed, I was having a good career development so far, and I worked for it. I wanted it. So I started to work when I was 20 during my university time. I was very ambitious, but ambitious in the sense of, getting the next step of promotion by achieving great results. So this was my principle along the way. And also the second one was getting the promotion, let's call it on my own terms. So respecting my values and principles, not by any, not at any cost. For me, it's really important to be able to look in the mirror and to feel good about what I'm seeing. And I'm not speaking about appearance, but I'm seeing about, my conscience and my resonance with my beliefs. So I think this is one thing. The second piece is I really invested in my learning and development. I was intentional to understand. I did a couple of, if you want, personality tests along the way, trying to understand myself better. I had coaches, I had mentors along my way. I really had a lot of attention to surround myself with strong people. And sometimes this may be a challenge for a manager or for a leader, but but for me was really critical to be able to grow faster, because I became a manager when I was 20, almost 21, let's put it this way. And I had a team of 40 people who were all of them older than me. And it was a journey to learn how to deal with that, to the, let's say, to the differences between different generations, different backgrounds. So I learned very young how to leverage positively diversity with inclusion. And then when I became first time a general manager, which was at 32, in retail in 2012, I realized that I was having areas which I was not mastering. And then I brought with me very strong people to build a leadership team. And second of all, I invested in a kind of human capital development program with one of the big companies in the world, also present in Romania back then, which company helped us actually with tools, with governance models to help us to become very successful fast. So, learning and developing, respecting my principles, the second piece, surrounding myself with talented and professional people, the third thing. And also the fourth one would be building partnerships and connections along the way. I think it's really important more and more, especially in big corporations, to build your own network and to intentionally build your career steps together with your manager, with HR people, with different peers or mentors. So, discussing about your wants, supporting people in project assignments which are outside of your job area. I think also this is helping. So to be really intentional in career development.
That was always the culture of Microsoft, connecting from different people, from different, and looking at the different path. I remember, interestingly enough, like the first year, and as my full-time in Microsoft, I was asked by my manager, which at the time was Brent Vaughan, and he said, "Michal, where do you want to go next?" I said, "I just joined. Don't you want me to stay in that group?" And I said, No, we're actually looking at you growing within Microsoft. That was it was so unusual for a European to actually hear that his manager will let him go, because that's the trajectory plan for Microsoft, right? Like your boss, Philippe, he probably had a couple of people on his list for the next GM of the Czech Republic.
For sure. There are what we call succession planning. We have a strong process inside the company. And indeed, there is a culture in Microsoft to really support actively people to grow. It is now, let's say, grudge around people to really look after your own business group. Their development is actually your responsibility as a manager to support the growth inside Microsoft, of course, irrespectively of the business group.
When listing all of the pillars that held you strong and you are building, self-reflection is very, very much heard, and I do appreciate self-reflection in people a lot, working with themselves and trying to understand themselves. You also, in the beginning of our talk, you mentioned family and your parents. Could you collaborate on that? Because I have the feeling they had a huge impact on the way you perceive world.
Yes, it's a good call out, actually. Indeed, my parents, my father was a civil servant working in for the public services in different roles, and my mom was a teacher. So they really taught me great things, to be a valuable human being and to leave something behind. I think these are the main things they taught me. And also they taught me to drive hard work and to really go after the outcomes, not to expect them to come towards me. And also they taught me that sky is not the limit. And I think sometimes this was a problem, because I was very aspirational and ambitious. And sometimes I was not, especially in my 20s or beginning of 30s, I was not very balanced in the way I was pursuing my life. I was working a lot, learning a lot, studying in parallel, driving different initiatives, sleeping less or sleeping fast, how I used to say. I'm sleeping faster, I was joking with people. So all of that actually helped me to really grow and to have an impact and to build if you want, demand on my own person, because actually I didn't search for a job at any moment in time in these 20 years of career. All the time, people approach me with different opportunities. And I think I was lucky that this happened. But this luck, came with some hard work. It's like in that famous quote, the more I train myself, the luckier I get. So I believe to some extent this is true for me. So I'm really grateful to my parents for forging the person I am today. Also, I had great teachers when I was very young, whom I hold them very dear. And I think, we are the result of many experiencing we are living. And I think I'm not an exception.
We are basically, that they say we're 70% of what people we meet and who we are surrounded with, and so on. I had the youngest GM here on a podcast, E014, and then Roman Savalk, the other GM later on, and they said it was easy to actually get people to work because we would go down into the garage and we would see all of the salespeople cars, and if there were too many cars, we would go up on the 7th floor and we would make noise around that. How is managing of efficiencies in operations, sales processes, and so on going on without, in this COVID era for you, without being able to actually physically see the people and kind of track where they are? What's your magic potion? What's your belief that people? What's your approach?
So again, a great point you brought. So I'm a true believer into rather pull effect, not push effect. I of course I exercised my, let's say, top down push different tactics in my life, but actually I'm a true believer of the fact that by motivating people, by let's say, inspiring to get together along on a purpose for the company, then you are getting more than really pushing them and scrutinizing and monitoring and doing this kind of punishment approach or always push effect. So to answer to your question, I don't have a magic potion, first of all. But what I do, I believe that it's important to have in a company, in an organization, be it small or big, to have very well designed two elements. One is culture, the other one is structure. By structure, I mean to have clarity around the business outcomes your team needs to drive, needs to achieve. Also, it's valuable to have a couple of leading indicators, because you may not want to wait till the moment you see the perfect outcome at the end of the month or at the end of the year. So you would maybe want to have a couple of leading indicators which are helping you to understand whether you are or not on the right track with the business outcomes. So this is clarity around objectives. Then it's important to have the tools in place, be it technology, being different machineries, premises. You need to ensure to the people in order for them to enable their great work. And third thing, you need to make sure that you have the right governance in place to really govern the world. And let's take now the hybrid work or remote work example. There is a lot of flexibility around this hybrid work, but in the same time, it needs a lot of clarity around rules of engagement. Because if everyone is doing whatever he or she wants in terms of, working hours, in terms of kind of service level agreements inside the company, then it will be a little bit of chaos. And we really need to have rules of engagement in place, that governance model, which can be very simple, doesn't need to be very heavy or very corporate, but should ensure clarity in the operating model. And the second piece on the culture, it's really the values, the behaviors, the mindset we are cultivating inside the work group, inside the organization we are leading, which is actually driving that passion to obtain results, to do the quality of a job, to really care about the customers you are serving. And actually, I remember some years back, I was in retail back then, and I discovered that, by simply having a smile when you are greeting the customers, you are generating a higher conversion. And it was, proved with some data points. And I remember the sales conference when I said to the people, smiling is also helping us to have a well-being. So let's try, for a couple of weeks to smile more and to enjoy what we are doing to see if our results will get better. So actually, some of the people were a bit smiling or, laughing about that. But actually, some stores said, okay, let's do like this to see what is happening. And it had a lot of positive impact. And those people talked about the positive impact. And it generated a snowball effect. So I'm a believer in really being able to convey to the people which is the purpose, to really ask their support, their ideas, into make it stronger, make it more relevant for the environment, for the market, for the customers, and then operationalizing it in a way which is engaging people and makes them feel welcome, valuable, makes them feel that they are making a difference. So I think this is in my view, the key.
And that connects to my next question. You enter in the Czech Republic, when the country is becoming quite an R&D center for Microsoft. Right, it's one of the, I would say, top 5 R&D centers, with Skype still being here, with Teams development going on, with some other user experience development going on. A lot of developers that didn't used to be the case, right? Microsoft had 150 people, 300 people, and so on. Now there are thousands of people giving the development. How do you feel about entering one of the most exciting countries, except for Redmond, obviously, in the US? And how do you? What will you consider a success in 5 years when you, for example, are asked to, lead CEE?
So indeed, I feel very lucky and excited to be in a country in which we have a very strong development center. My first thought when I realized that is that I would like to build a strong collaboration and partnership with my colleagues from the development center to really act like one Microsoft team on these markets. So the partnership, collaboration, and if you want synergy piece, this was definitely one thought, and I'm actually actively pursuing this. The second piece is that we really want in the Czech Republic and Slovakia to support the country more and more and to have an impact beyond the commercial footprint we are having in the country. And we have since a couple of years, and this concept became more and more powerful, what we call a country plan. And by that, we would like to make a difference in the country on a couple of fronts. There are 4 pillars. The first one is around supporting organizations, either in public sector or in private sector, to support them in their digitization journey, in their transformation journey, to become more competitive, more agile, more scalable, more secure. The second piece is around building and supporting different coalitions, different advocacy organizations, different NGOs in such a way to enable, the competitive advantage of Czech Republic and Slovakia, to enable different motions, different initiatives around AI, innovation, in a way which is sustainable in the long run. The third piece is around skilling and growth, and not skilling only for, IT population or skilling only for the customers and partners that we are working closely with. It's skilling at scale. So we are looking at society at large, and we really had great steps done in 2020 and continuing in 2021 to leverage the global initiative we have. You may have heard about it, Global Skilling Initiative. And we actually want to support people to upskill themselves in different fields, but also to reskill themselves in order to find better jobs and to adapt themselves post-pandemic world. And the last piece is about societal impact, making alliances with different organizations to really drive projects which are supporting, healthy organic agriculture or sustainable agriculture, who are supporting, R&D in different AI centers. So really, these are the things which beyond, achieving targets, achieving market share, making a difference is really very important for me and for the team I'm leading. And, how success looks like. for me, really beyond the numbers, the success would be to really contribute in the public sector and in the private sector in a way which, in a couple of years, we can say that, look, those are particular projects. We really were part of them. We contributed actively. We contributed to, building new hospitals, utilizing technology to drive higher quality of the services, or utilizing technology to really enable a better education system in the country. Or these are, kind of impacts at scale we are looking at. And in the same time, the fact that we are supporting a small business to really strive, first of all, survive and then strive, is also making a difference. I think sometimes we are very much impressed by the big things, but actually life is made by details. So each and every activity counts. And, with every little step, we are actually building our legacy here.
And I believe you're being very modest about you, because you're not mentioning the employees, because you made Romania number one employer in the country, right? Now you're entering Microsoft Czech. It's number one employer as well. It seems like that's your true belief. I know you're quite modest about that, but congratulations on the success in Romania, and glad to hear that Ruda has made a similar success in the Czech, and Microsoft is continuing with this journey.
Thank you, Michal. Indeed, I was really happy, proud a bit to say, and also humble about these recognitions we got in Romania and also fantastic. Here in Czech Republic. So indeed, you are right. And
that's just phenomenal.
Definitely. It's important.
It's very great. And from talking with a couple of ex-colleagues and my friends, and they do really love working for Microsoft more than ever. Violeta, last two questions that I always ask everybody on the podcast. One of them is, if you receive a dream call from your dream company that you've always wanted to manage, or you would like to manage, put Microsoft on the side, or any obligations that you have right now. Just, you're a free agent, you can work from anybody in the world. Who would that company be, or what would that company be, and who would be making the call?
Difficult question, but I think the answer would be, I don't see myself right now willing to work for another company than Microsoft at this moment. And if I were to change, I would rather go to entrepreneurship, to build my own company. I have some ideas in mind, which I'm kind of thinking from time to time. So really build something on my own and make it great and meaningful. So this would be and the dream call probably would need to come from a big investor, not necessarily from a big employer.
It's quite common that people on my podcast would be very loyal to either their countries. Like I asked the president of Slovakia which country he would like to lead Slovakia. People from Microsoft usually say Microsoft as well. There is Elon Musk, a lot mentioned in the podcast, and I like the entrepreneur spirit because you can actually build that within Microsoft as well, or you can satisfy that need. The other question is, if there are two things you would like to write for the next generation to read, two that resonate within you, that's something that you live by, something that you teach to your mentees and to your friends, something that you go with, what would they be?
Can I have three things, not two, please?
Go ahead, yes.
Okay. So the first one would be around learning. So never stop learning would be one of the first thing I would write on a note. The second piece would be have a moral compass. I think it's really very important to have those. We are living in a very complicated world. Without having the right values and the principles and the guidance, I think it's very hard to be not successful. You can be successful without having the moral compass, but to be a very well-rounded human being. And the third piece would be take care of yourself. I think sometimes the society we are living in, it's pushing us for more, do more, achieve more. Always the relative kind of references are pushing the people to kind of stretch themselves, sometimes in the out of the comfort zones in not a balanced way. So, take care of yourself, but in the same time, take care that you are always growing and go a bit of the comfort zone, but in a sustainable manner. So I think these would be the 3 things I would write.
Thank you. And I would like to commend you for being an inspiration, for being an inspiring woman that is now taking on the Czech Republic and Slovakian subsidiaries, for the high level of self-reflection that you obviously have, for all of the learning that you put in the first place, for the aim, for the goal that you've had since you were, 20 years old when studying and pursuing your career steps. And then for something that I value the most, and that's for integrity, and that's just resonating within you. I wish, people that listen to this podcast always take a couple of things from the podcast, and these 4, the aim, the learning, the self-reflection, the integrity, and then the goal aim that you have is something that they learn from you, and you becoming an inspiration for all the generations and for students and so on. So thank you for being you.
Thank you very much, Michal. It was a pleasure. I hope people will find something interesting for them. And I wish you also, great development with your podcast. I listen a few and I really like them. I think they are inspirational, and it's always good to hear different perspectives and to learn and to grow. So thank you for that. Take care of you as well, and all the best.
Thank you, Violeta. We're moving the Headhunting global. COVID is actually helping us a lot because people and companies are now used to do everything online. So that's helping us a lot. It's an activity that we do, or that I do, a non-profit. It's just to inspire people and people who listen to you as well. Hey, it's possible. I can do this. So thank you very much for all of you listeners or watching us on YouTube. You can reach us at theheadhunted.com. Also send me an email to michal@theheadhunted.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and all of the Facebook and all of the social media. Violeta, all the best to you. I hope that in 2 years we'll be able to connect the dots and say what has worked not or what has worked. Hopefully more on the latter. Thank you once again, and good luck.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you as well in your global endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Headhunted.